Thank you very much for joining us, or watching the recording, or listening in. My name's Jezz Kelway, and I am honoured to have been invited here to take the mantle of interviewer, which is a position I believe Johnny Mac usually sits in for these kind of things. And I will adopt the position of interviewer, and therefore I will open with the classic interview question. Who are you? And what are you doing here?
Hello.
Who are you?
I'm John McNamara. I'm one of the team inventors in Jezz Lab, and I'm here to talk about the Edge of Space project.
Yeah.
And now you can have your own space program with IBM technology.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Edge of Space.
Edge of Space.
There's a touch of Darth Vader about that. It was good. So it all sounds very exciting. Edge of Space.
It is.
What actually is the Edge of Space program?
All right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
I can. I will. So for the Edge of Space project, we built a space probe, and we used IBM technology, or messaging and IoT, to take the telemetry from 20 miles up and to represent the conditions that the probe found physically in one of the labs. Now, I say physically, not -40. We didn't suck out all the oxygen, but what we did do.
That's a shame.
I know.
Why didn't you do that?
Some people have no commitment. Jess, that's the problem.
I bet it's health and safety gone mad again.
It's political correctness gone mad again. But yeah, so as a probe sensors hit the sun, all the lights would come on, and those innovation centers, nice warm glow. As it turned away, they go kind of dark blue color. And as a probe moved around, the floor would move, and then it returned to Earth, and then we captured it, brought it back, and we retrieved something quite special, because as it went up there, people could text on the hashtag IBM Imp1, and their tweet was shown on a screen, and we took pictures of their tweet with the curvature of the Earth in the background.
That is cool. Also, I like the way you phrased that. We captured it.
We captured it
as if it would run wild.
It did run wild.
The country's littered with space probes running wild.
Yeah, that's how we felt.
It's a new species. Brilliant. So, okay. So, I mean, that is a very cool thing to do. I'm a huge Trekkie myself, and so anything to do with space, I'm on board. I'm so on. But I have to ask, why did you do that?
Right. So
what inspired you to do it?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I'd love to say that I was inspired. I inspired myself, but I can't say that. I was over at a hackathon in Olympia about 2 years ago, and I was playing around with some IBM technology, Node-RED, which is brilliant. IBM messaging. I was playing with MessageSite and a few of the messaging technologies, and I was just doing something quite trivial with them. I was making a Twitter bot. And it was around November, so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to learn how to use technology, just to retweet whatever came up on Twitter with Movember. And I thought, that'll be cool.
Moustache inspired.
Precisely.
I love that.
The anarchy that was on the internet that day. So when I was doing that, this guy rocked up called Stefan, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm here to help anyone with IBM messaging technologies, and I'm at the moment I'm messing with Node-RED. What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm here to put out forest fires in Portugal."
Oh, I see.
I know.
Not play about with moustaches.
Not play. And yeah, immediately I felt a little bit,
I can see why you might feel slightly diminutive.
I was a little bit like,
that's quite cool. Isn't it?
I didn't quite get the link though between the hackathon and the forest fires.
It's a bit of a leap, isn't it?
It is. And so I said, Stefan, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by forest fires?
I love what you're saying.
How can you stop them? And so he spoke about the forest fires, but back then, of course, still today there are problems, but back then particularly, there was a very, very nasty forest fire a couple of years back. A lot of tragedy and a lot of heartache. And so he was affected by this, and what he wanted to do was to create a swarm of drones which would use messaging technology, so they were controlled, and they would go and they would map out the edges of the forest fire. They would pinpoint anyone in distress and then direct the emergency teams and focus them on the most critical areas of the forest fire, and also rescue people, because it's really hard to fly over a forest fire because of all the smoke and the heat and stuff. And So I kind of got a bit embarrassed what I was doing, so I just stopped what I was doing. I helped him.
That's worse. I would say that's noble of you, but I think we'd all probably just go, moustaches, sadly, backseat.
That's right.
Let's help save lives.
My Twitter bot, Stefan, is far more.
Yeah, Stefan, drop what you're doing.
So I helped him for 2 days. Me and a few of the lads here, and Stefan kind of caned it, and we actually got like 2 or 3 drones working simultaneously, mapping out the Olympia ground for the hackathon. And he went, well, thank you very much. That's brilliant. I'm going to go to Portugal. I'll make a proposal to the government that they can use this technology to try and help map out forest fires. And I felt great after that. I
bet you did.
Yeah, I felt like
that's good.
This is brilliant. And I was like, really, I thought, I will now go forward and do more of these things immediately. And of course, as it happens, you get kind of bogged down, don't you, stuff. You come back and
life occurs.
Life occurs, and I didn't. But then an opportunity arose years later. So I got a call, I think, from Ash Traegay, one of the GDMs here in Hersley, saying that Imperial College were looking for a project to get their teeth into for the master's students. And I thought, well, why not now? Why not now? Why not now? And so I thought, well, on the same theme, I thought, wouldn't it be quite cool, because we had, at the time of the around this time this was kicking off, there was also a number of earthquakes, and I was very mindful of the emergency medical teams, the rescue teams that were thrown in to these environments, and without any real preparation and acclimatization of what they find. And I thought, wouldn't it be quite cool if we could send down probes and we had a room which they could acclimatize into the heat and the smoke and the light, and they can acclimatize that before they went down in there. And so we thought, well, we need a hostile environment and a probe, and we've got a room which is the Innovation Centre in Hersley. And we kind of thought, well, what's the most hostile environment we can really think of?
In England.
Yeah, in England.
A few places spring to mind, but
indeed,
political correctness dictates
absolutely.
That I don't insult anybody.
So what we did, we thought, well, where can we go? That's a truly hostile environment. And actually, as it happens, the nearest really hostile environment was space, because it's 20 miles up.
It's only 20 miles away.
Yeah, it's 20 miles.
Yeah,
really,
that's true.
And so we thought, well, let's try that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. You know, you think three-dimensionally, think upwards instead of just across the landmass.
Yeah, so we thought, well, let's give it a go. And so that's how it came about, and that's how we came about making a space probe with sensors and connecting up IBM technology and creating a space program.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah.
I love that about hackathons, where you can just people rock up and they've got these brilliant ideas and brilliant projects to work on, and you get to work on it. I just got one quick question.
Go on.
Is there any empirical evidence that Stefan did go back to the Portuguese government, and we're not going to see a swarm of drones across the skies and an evil genius behind it all?
It's a good point. I think right now Stefan is probably there in his volcano, evil villain
I've got
base.
images.
I know.
Images.
I don't blame you.
I think you need to follow up on
I will
that, John.
chase Stefan.
For an action for you to take.
A very suspicious hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't go unnoticed, Stefan.
You're not helping with my imagery there. Right. So we have on the podcast as FM, we always talk about technology. So I'm very interested to know, John. You knew this question.
Yeah, I was.
What technologies were involved?
Right. Okay, so it's broke down to 2 areas. So to make it go, which is a technical term,
that was carefully thought through.
Thank you very much. We purchased a weather balloon, which we filled full of helium, and we had basically a polystyrene box, and that was a simple bit. So yeah.
So do you buy a weather balloon on eBay? Is that?
We went to a place called Interspace, and they provided it with a weather balloon and directed us to where we can get helium from and all that stuff. So really cool. And
so the magic of the internet.
I know, indeed. So it was fantastic. Then we sourced loads of sensors. We had light sensors, heat sensors, accelerometers, various sensors dotted around there. We tried to measure pretty much everything we could.
Yeah.
We had GPS in there as well, and we had a Raspberry Pi, of course, obligatory Raspberry Pi. And we had a PITS board, which is a transceiver, which sent down radio transmissions of where the probe was and what it was doing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we also had a LoRa board, LOI, kind of new technology. I think it's only been patented like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Wow. It's quite new. And the last about LoRa is it's called like it's a modem, but it's like a software modem.
Right.
Yeah. And so what you can do, it allows two-way communication. And so you as long as you've got a line of sight, you can point to it and you can send things to it and back down again. And that allowed people to tweet to the probe.
Nice.
Yeah, and then send it down.
It's a good job I didn't know about that.
That's the important thing. Oh, but we also had the software side of it. We had IBM messaging, we had MQ-Lightnet and QTT. We had Node-RED. We had Cloudant. We had DB2. So we had loads of software behind it, all of which the guys found absolutely doddle to set up. And they weren't actually coders. These were engineers. And so they were kind of new to coding, but they kind of jumped onto Bluemix, and they had a skeleton of their entire architecture deployed within 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I'll give a link to the best architecture diagram I've ever seen. It's basically like a big circle with MQ in the middle, and then these lines going at various services.
I've seen that one before.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So if you send a naughty tweet, for example, because we thought, it's the first thing that occurred to us would be a naughty tweet.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, so we thought, well, how can we stop that from happening? So
filter. We need a filter.
Yeah, so we had a service at the back end which processed the tweets in Bluemix and then gauged whether or not they were mean tweets or nice tweets. Yeah. And the nice tweets were sent up.
Nice.
And they were put on the screen, photographed, and then the photo was then captured, and we got the probe back and we sent the photos out to people.
Brilliant.
Which we did.
That is a fabulous, and perhaps not the kind of technology IBM's usually associated with is this, hacking sort of stick it together, but fantastic. So, right. Well, what happened on the day, right? Because I assume you can't just launch something into space and not tell anybody about it. Well, you could, but you might attract a different kind of attention.
Lengthy prison sentences within a shoe. Yeah, so...
tell us the story, John.
So the CAA are rightly very concerned with people just
lobbing
the Civil Aviation Authority.
Thank you.
They're very, very, very concerned, and rightly so, about people just randomly throwing things up into airspace.
It pleases me that somebody is worried about that.
Indeed it is. And so we applied for special permission to do that sort of thing. I recommend the first thing that you do, if you're considering it, please get in contact with the CAA and say, I'd like to launch a weather balloon up into the upper reaches of the atmosphere, into space. And they'll be delighted to hear from you, I'm sure.
One of the many pieces of sound advice imparted by Johnny Mac.
Do it, because the thing is, what you don't want is to push something up there for a plane to wander past and be sucked into the engine.
Exactly. In all seriousness, that was what I was worried about. Weather balloons are big things, right? And
well, they expanded to I think it was something like it was something like 20 feet. It was like I think it's about sort of 8 feet in diameter when it took off, but it got to something like 60 feet.
Really?
Yeah. By the time it got up,
because of the reduced pressure.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
So it's a big old boy.
So you got in touch with the CAA.
Yeah, CAA, and we applied for permission, and so you did that. And in the end, we went with Churchill College in Cambridge. A big shout out to the High Altitude Balloon Society. Without them, this would never have happened. An amazing amount of support we got from there. Cool. Absolutely phenomenal guys. I can't say enough about them. They helped us out no end. And actually, it was those guys who are at Churchill College. So when you come, you can launch from our launch site. And of course, they do all sorts of things like that all the time. So they've got a rolling agreement with the CAA. Yes, we went there, and we give it a notice to airmen. It's got about a 1 hour kind of notice, and then the Civil Aviation comes back and says, "Yep, you can launch for the next X number of minutes."
Cool.
Yeah. So we got the go, and we kicked it off, and off it went.
So was it literally just like pulling the rope stopper out and off it floated?
Well, we devolved all responsibility to the smallest member of the group.
Was he holding on?
This very, very, very petite young Chinese student.
Legend.
Yeah. So all the men go, oh, that's me. I'll just step back, and then we have this.
Like the canary going down.
Yeah. It was like, it's all your fault.
You're a lovely bunch of blokes, aren't you?
It's all your fault that goes wrong. And so she kind of ran off the field with us, and eventually it took off, and it went up almost like a rocket.
They go quickly, don't they?
They
you
really
don't realise.
do.
An 8-foot helium balloon is going to move, isn't it?
Yeah,
with a little polystyrene thing attached.
Exactly. Yeah, we shot up. I think it was going up at like going about 5 or 6 meters a second, I think.
Right, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, it's pretty sharpish, isn't it? So so it's kind of shot up, and then we're all the way up. We've got telemetry, we've got the link to the innovation centre, we've got tweets coming in, and it was all going teeny boo, got right up to about 20 miles, and then as it's meant to happen, the balloon exploded because there's no pressure.
But there was no one around.
There's no one around, it's fine. It's fine. And a little TARDIS that we sent up. We've got pictures of TARDIS going up as well.
It got fatter and fatter. I was watching it. It just got fatter and fatter because it's filled with gel.
It was, yeah. It was a little squeezy toy. And so it went up into space. We got pictures of that in space as well, which is great. But yeah, you're absolutely right. As it went up, the pressure kind of reduced. It kind of went from this square to like a round orb of TARDIS. So it went up 20 miles, a balloon burst, and then disaster struck. Because it came down very, very rapidly indeed, well over 20 meters per second. And it was a good...
Was that intentional?
No, it was meant to come down by parachute. The parachute didn't deploy. And so it just scudded down like a meteor. And
terminology is correct.
It was
scudded.
It's like... So we were thinking, this isn't right. And we're looking on the tracker. And it was like watching those old 80s movies, the nuclear missile.
Yeah, James Bond movie.
Thought, this isn't right. So we thought, what could it possibly be? And we realised, of course, that going that quickly, the parachute just can't deploy. So it just free fell for 20 miles straight down. And it was heading pretty much towards Cambridge. And I was a bit concerned because if you the actual package itself and all of the ramps, the balloon, the ropes, all the pulleys, all the paraphernalia around the parachute hadn't deployed, it's quite heavy. Yes. And so all of that traveling at 20 odd meters per second and hitting somebody didn't level a car.
Wasn't really the plan, was it?
It wasn't.
Meteoriting down towards Cambridge.
No. We got lots of support though from the High Altitude Balloon Society because they were on the IRC channel, and they were also this has appeared on their screens as well. And they're okay. We all need to move south and avoid the shockwave. But of course, our brave band were driving towards it, trying to get it.
Oh, like storm chasers.
Exactly, precisely. Except more exciting than storm chasers.
Yes, okay.
So we rocked up towards that, and as luck would have it, before it hit the ground, the straps that hadn't deployed properly got wrapped into a tree, and it just span around a tree, and it came to Earth about 2 meters up, completely intact from dropping 20 miles.
How did you know it landed in a tree?
Yeah, because thanks to the awesome technology behind it, it was still taking photographs of the tweet. Right. And in the background, you could see this green swirl of the trees as it rolled around them. But of course, the tweet was perfectly captured because it was stationed to the camera. But all around it was like this kind of like maelstrom of green and trees. Brilliant. So yeah, it just dangled like.
That's amazing because my understanding is that 20 miles up, it's going to be pretty chilly.
Yeah.
And all the technology survived to come back down.
Yeah,
and just it still worked.
Yes, it did. So there was one bit with hindsight's
one failure.
One failure. Hindsight is an amazing thing, but of course, liquid crystal displays don't cope very well at -40.
Liquid.
I know.
Right. Some liquids.
Who'd have thought it? So at the highest point, it froze, but then it warmed up again as it came back down, and we started retweeting again. We could see it again. So it wasn't damaged. It just froze for a bit, then unfroze for a bit, and then carried on doing it.
Just carried on,
which is amazing. Oh. But you're right. The heat thing's a problem because on the way up, all the electronics generates a large amount of heat
in a polystyrene thing.
In a polystyrene container, and we kind of thought, well, that's going to have an effect. And then you've got the other extreme of -40 all the way up there. It's really cold. Yeah, so how do you account for all those sort of things? And so be quite careful about the hardware that we used. So we went for an earlier model of Raspberry Pi rather than the later model because less heat, and less power consumption. So yeah, there's a lot of things to think about for sure. Yeah, nice. But yeah, it works, thankfully.
Brilliant. So what if, for instance, and in the unlikely event, but I'll ask it anyway, what if I wanted to build a space probe?
Yeah.
Do it, fella.
Do it.
What would I need to do? How would I do it? How easy is it?
So what I would do is, first of all, you need a bit of time. So you need a launch date.
Damn it.
Give it I would say give it a good couple of months. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And first thing you do is talk to the CAA. Go and talk to the CAA and say, right, okay, I'm looking to do this. I'm going to use a weather balloon. I'm going to use a polystyrene box. The entire thing will probably weigh. I'll be sending up maybe 2.5 kilos, and give them some locations and give them time to process it, because they're doing all sorts of things. They're keeping planes in the air all day long, and so try and work around as much as possible. But you will need a weather balloon. You'll need a polystyrene container. You will need a Raspberry Pi and a camera, because you want to take pictures. That's a great thing to have. A little SD card. You can get a Pi cam that goes into the Raspberry Pi. So at the very base level, with the power supply, that's kind of all you really need if you want to send it up, take pictures, and come back down again. But have a GPS, have a radio, so you know where it is and you can track it. That's always good. And also, if you want to do something a bit crazy like we did, you can buy really cheap sensors. They're not very much, like light sensors and heat sensors. Attach them to the Raspberry Pi, and you can do all sorts of things with that telemetry. And the bit that doesn't cost you anything, you can get a free trial of Bluemix, Node-RED, and messaging, and you start doing stuff with that telemetry. The back end and that bit doesn't cost you anything at all. We did all this in a few weeks, and you can certainly do what we did in less than the time for a free trial of Bluemix.
Fantastic.
I know, yeah. So that's all you need. And so I think at the lower end, you probably want maybe a couple £100. At the higher end, with Raspberry Pi, pits board, LoRa boards for the full experience. Full experience. I'd probably go to about 800 maybe. We can get something for £200 at then, no problem at all. Take some pictures and track it. Brilliant. Or we can do all sorts of wonderful things for a bit more than that.
Fantastic. What a brilliant story.
Thank you very much.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Thank you.
So what if people want a bit more information on it? I mean, because there's obviously more to it about which specific sensors, how it will fit together, the architecture diagram.
Yeah.
Where are you sharing that? Where's that?
Yes,
we've made available?
We've got loads of blogs. Imperial students, who are the guys that we worked with. Great guys, fantastic guys. We're going to give a shout out to them. They wrote a phenomenal blog and did a number of podcasts all the way through. And if you think about doing it yourself, I thoroughly recommend listening to those podcasts, because it wasn't something that was done at the end when it was all finished.
Done during
they did journey. This during the journey.
Nice. With
one at the end, and that's a great way to learn about it. And so I'll put a link into the podcasts and the blogs, and of course, if we get playing on Bluemix for the back end of it, and for the computing power, I'll put a link into there too, and grab a free trial.
You are a gentleman, sir.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well, I think that all remains is for me to say thank you very much, John.
My pleasure.
Incredible story. Thanks very much for having me on the show.
I'm very welcome. I'm sure. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to come back. Hint.
You will.
I'd love to. This was a great job interview.
It was great.
I think it went really well.
Yeah. Comments below.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even the rude ones. Thanks very much for joining. I hope that was useful for you, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.